Thanks for staying with us. Now, a pregnant woman has died in Chama in the central Gonja district of the northern region after she was swept away by rising rainwater when a bridge in the area collapsed. The bridge broke down following heavy rains. The rains in the past 2 weeks have triggered flooding and landslides in some parts of the region. Hundreds of people in 12 communities have been affected after the bridge collapsed. Correspondent Martina Bugri reports.
The people of Chama and its environs cannot access the rest of the world, especially for health care. Former Assemblyman Muhammad Mumuni narrated to Joy News how a pregnant woman drowned trying to cross the water.
The bridge has been broken down because we have been cut off from a lot of people, and therefore no one can cross from this place to access of getting another hospital. We can't get anything. Even a lot of people lost their lives simply because of this very bridge, if I can say. About 2 days ago, a motor rider was carrying a pregnant woman to a nearby community for help delivery. Due to that, they fall under the distance and they got lost their lives.
Another community member, Isaac Ibrahim, said last year a pupil drowned trying to cross to school. He said with schools about to reopen, they fear for the lives of these children.
The breakdown of the bridge, it's a hard disturbance for those two-way sub-district here. We have students who normally move from Kulfo to Chama JHS because Kulfo don't have JHS. They attend their JHS at Chama. During the breakdown of the bridge since last year, some of the children are coming while the water is coming.
A farmer, Atta Seidu, said lots of foodstuffs are locked up in the farms because of the bad nature of the road. A stranded passenger, Zuria Bintu, said women risk getting miscarriage using the road.
Pregnant women, or even if you are becoming pregnant, if you are having pregnant 1 month, 2 months, the nature of the road can let you have a miscarriage. I also hope that if Electoral Commission people can use rainy season as election time so that our MPs, our government, our DCs, they can at least also pass through the road to see how we are suffering when it is rainy season.
The assemblyman for the area, Ilyas Subawa, said several complaints made to the assembly has not yielded any results.
If you go to this assembly today, go and open assembly file, you see my report. My letters, you can't count them. Up to now, I'm not hearing anything.
Even though the roads are in a deplorable shape, it is the least of their concerns. Last week, the community members mobilized resources and brought in logs from Techima to reconstruct the build, but that effort has been swept away by heavy rain. The people are appealing to government to come to their aid. For Joy News, Martina Bugri reporting for Chama in the central Gonja district of the northern region.
Now, residents of Anya here in the Greater Accra region are struggling to come to terms with the gruesome murder of a woman there by her husband. The suspect, Yao Mensa Agri, is alleged to have inflicted a deep cut in his wife's head with a machete after a heated argument over infidelity claims. Police say the suspect is in custody, assisting them with the investigations. Ifwa Evans Chinnery has more.
Residents say the suspect, Yao Mensa Agri, a 42-year-old air conditioner repairer, and his 40-year-old wife, Adwa Frimpoma, who is a firewood seller, have been living in the area for the past 3 years. But they say all has not been well with the couple as they have been quarreling over marital issues for some time now. Landlord of this house, Barnabas Aban, said he was called by one of the tenants Thursday morning after bloodstains were found at the door leading to the deceased room. After breaking into the room, he found a machete and a knife lying next to the lifeless body of the woman. Mr. Aban said he then called for help and conveyed the body of the deceased to the Amasaman Government Hospital, where she was pronounced dead.
In the morning, I was in my room when one of my tenants called me that she has seen a blood stain in the deceased porch inside. So I rushed to the porch and I found a blood inside. So I forcefully entered into the room that I saw the woman in the room with her blood all over. So I rushed her to hospital, and then I also went to the police station to report the whole case. I later had a call from a hospital that she has died. So I went back to the hospital and then I sent her to the mortuary, Kolebu mortuary.
Some of the tenants described the suspect as calm, but one who had issues with his wife.
He's a friend that we all meet one-on-one. We discuss of issues pertaining to our lives. So just 3 days ago, I was from Cape Coast. I alighted at the place. I met him. He was very quiet, and I asked him, why was he so quiet? And he said, Ben, the problem I'm going through, I don't know who can help me solve the problem. I said, so I had to talk to him and then tell him to exercise patience. This is a marriage issue, so we should seek for counseling. He said he understands, but he will see what to do. So we promised to meet last night. We couldn't meet this morning until I heard the news that this is what has happened.
The suspect, after the act, dumped the stained mattress, a knife, and some other items at the back of the house. He was arrested in the shower after neighbors noticed the woman had died. The body of the deceased has been deposited at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital morgue. Ifwa Evans Chinui for Joy News.
Now, what you're about to see will shock you. A Class 2 pupil in the Central Region town of Kaswa is now struggling to walk after allegedly being sexually assaulted by her teacher. The teacher is said to have inserted his fingers into her vagina when he lured her into another classroom under the guise of giving her extra lessons. During the sexual abuse, however, the victim is said to have fallen off from the table as she tried to flee and is now unable to walk. John News' Maxwell Abakwa has been following the story and now reports.
I am at the Kaswa residence of the Class 2 pupil. Family members are seated discussing their next line of action. Very close to them is the victim seated in a plastic chair covered with a cloth. There is a pillow supporting her back with her 2 legs resting on a kitchen stool. As she stretches in the chair, tears begin to flow. The 9-year-old girl says on the day she reported late to classes, her class teacher offered to teach her what she had missed, but ended up inserting his fingers in her genitals.
There were some children playing in the classroom where he took me. He sacked all of them. I told one of my friends there to wait, but the teacher disagreed. When I started writing, he came closer and rubbed his hands in my head and said my father has asked him to provide all my needs. He put me on one of the tables and started inserting his fingers in my genitals. It was painful. I started struggling with him. In an attempt to flee, my pelvis hit one of the tables. I fell down and later ran home with my younger sister. I was scared to tell my mom.
Mother of the victim says her daughter complained of headache some weeks ago, but was scared to tell her about the assault. She later confided in another family member.
She complained of headache some weeks ago and later talked about pains in her legs. I asked her if she had fought with anyone. We later took her to the hospital, where the doctor told me she had been sexually abused. She later narrated her ordeal to one of my relatives. The suspect's wife has been pleading with me to resolve the issue at home, and she even promised to cater for her, but we disagreed.
The victim's grandfather says the suspect confessed to the crime and later gave them 50 Ghana cedis to cater for the girl, but denied the allegation when they reported the matter to the police.
He told me that, I know the accused very well, and then the wife. He told me that he begged me I should forgive him. I should forgive him. He doesn't know what exactly happened to him before he did that to the kid. So what?
We moved to the home of the suspect to hear his side of the story, but were informed he was not around. I called the suspect's wife, who was with him at the time. After introducing myself, we requested to meet them. The suspect's wife told us she cannot give us directions to their location. When I suggested we hear the suspect's side of the story via the phone, she dropped the call and did not answer the subsequent ones. Our checks at the Kaswa office of the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit revealed they have taken up the matter. However, the investigator working on the case said she cannot provide us with details. She referred us to her superior, who we were told was at a training program in Accra. Our calls and text messages to her remain unanswered. Some extracts of medical documents seen by Joy News stated, quote, patient presented with inability to walk after her teacher allegedly inserted his finger in vagina. Medical examination showed a partially perforated hymen with no tears or lacerations, unquote. According to the statement, the patient is still unable to walk despite pain medication, and she has been treated for pelvic fracture, urinary tract infections. Family members of the girl are now racing against time to raise money for the 9-year-old girl to undergo treatment at the Winneba Hospital, where she has been referred.
Sad story there. You're watching Joy News Prime. I'm Arba Kumson. Stay tuned. We have more stories for you. We'll be right back after this break. You're welcome back. Now, a Chinese manager of plastic firm in Kumasi and his assistant have been arrested for stabbing a Ghanaian worker. Peter Frimpong, a factory hand, was stabbed 3 times at the neck, back and palm over laxity at work. Here is a news desk report.
Liu Zhenzong, 32, the manager of the enterprise which recycles plastics into polythene bags at Febi in Kumasi, is alleged to have stabbed the 19-year-old over why he was sitting idle at work. His assistant, Liu Wan, 34, was also arrested. The two have since been transferred from the Konfanoche Teaching Hospital Police Post to the Asokwa Divisional Police Headquarters. Eyewitnesses say the Chinese manager got angry and pushed the 19-year-old worker after he was found sitting idle. It resulted in a heated verbal exchange and physical confrontation, leading to the stabbing. The police have taken their statement pending investigations.
As you heard, that the police is investigating the matter, but my colleague Erastus Asari Donka has been following up on this. He joins us on the line. So what more can you tell us about this stabbing incident?
Well, we do know at the moment from the victim that he said he was working and sitting on a stool, and the manager came in and demanded to know why he was sitting idle and why he was holding a pair of scissors given to him to work, because he said he didn't like people holding on to the scissors for long, so he should be working to give it to others. So he put the scissors on the table, then he took the scissors angrily and stabbed the table with it close to him. Then from there, he tried to slap him, but he dodged. Then his colleague, who was in the other room, came in and slapped him. So they took him down and started wrestling with him. Then one stabbed him from the back. And then they were separated. Again, they forced him to another corner and started stabbing him with the pair of scissors. So what happened? They wanted to stab him in the neck, and then he blocked it with his palm. And so he had some severe wounds to the palm, some stab wounds to the lower back, and then another to the other side of the body. But at the moment, doctors are saying that it does not affect any organ, and so they have discharged him and has asked him to come back for review. The police have taken his statement. The 2 Chinese men are still in custody at the Asokwa Divisional Police Headquarters.
Well, as you indicated, his wounds are not that extensive, but what have the police been saying about the case? From their enquiries or their interrogation of the Chinese man and his assistant?
Well, what I've been told is that their statements have been taken. They are still in custody. They are conducting their own investigations. They've also asked the victim to write a statement. Some eyewitnesses. Until then, they wouldn't comment further, except to say that they will be able to tell the public what they are charging them with.
And having spoken to the victim, did he indicate that this was something that the Chinese managers at the company often do?
Well, what the victim told me was that even after he had been stabbed, and at the point blood was oozing everywhere, he didn't feel the pain much. But he saw one of the Chinese men coming at him with a knife, and that was where he had to scale a wall to escape further injuries. So he, at the moment, does not understand the reaction that came up all of a sudden. But he is saying that the Chinese people said they felt he was insulting them in the Cree language, and that is how they reacted that way.
All right. Many thanks for that update, Erastus Asari-Danko from Kumasi there. Now, Charles Bawadua is a legal practitioner and labor consultant. He joins us to examine this issue further. Good evening and many thanks for your time.
Good evening.
So, what's your reaction to that story of the Chinese stabbing a Ghanaian employee there?
Well,
I saw your face. You looked outraged.
Very much so. First of all, I must express my disgust as to a treatment of a Ghanaian worker in the manner that it happened. I think that, first of all, it's a criminal offense. And I'm happy that the police have taken up the matter to investigate it. I expect that the police will go through the criminal processes and ensure that justice is done through the court processes. Apart from that, I think it's one of the many cases of abuse of workers' rights that we have experienced in recent times, especially involving Chinese companies. And I think that as a country, we need to take those steps that will ensure that our workers are not treated in the manner that they are facing now.
Now, I mean, I was just about to say that this is not the first time we've heard of such an incident involving the Chinese. Could the problem be blamed on our weak labor laws?
Well, I don't think that the laws of Ghana regarding labor are weak. I think the problem that we are facing is enforcement and our inability to resource the agencies that are put down or laid down or established under the law to enforce the provisions of the law. Take, for example, the Labor Department under the Ministry of Labor. As we speak, I'm aware that they do not have up to 2 moving vehicles. And that is a department that is supposed to enforce the Factories in Trade Act, to move around various factories to ensure that workers work under satisfactory and safe conditions. And so, in the absence of supervision and inspection, clearly, we are facing a situation where, even though we have all these beautiful laws, we are able to enforce them. And that is the situation that we are facing in this country. If we cannot enforce the laws, surely these things will happen. And the only reason why we are hearing this is because people probably saw it. I can tell you that there are many more of these, which are happening in several other factories, not just Chinese, but other, even Ghanaian companies that we are not able to know because it hasn't come out.
I see. So, I mean, as a labor lawyer, what would you advise the victim does in this particular case?
First of all, I've already said that the criminal processes are very important because those are the processes that will ensure that the persons involved are punished for their conduct. Now, apart from that, you have the labor aspect of it, which will ensure that the worker is compensated for the suffering and the injuries that he has suffered at the workplace, as provided for under the Workman's Compensation Law, PNDC Law 187. So I expect the worker to go through the processes of enforcing his rights and seeking compensation under that labor law. I also expect the workers in that organization to come together, form a workers' union to fight the rights of the workers. The problem we face in this country also is because we are not able to assert our rights as workers to form workers' unions. And because we are not united, we do not work as a single unit, employers are able to do the kind of mete out the kind of suffering and punishment that they do to Ghanaian workers. So I would urge Ghanaian workers, especially in such smaller companies, to form workers' unions and to join some of the national unions which already exist. That way, they will be stronger to fight their rights.
But that may not be practical in all cases. I mean, what do you recommend should be done in the absence of worker unions in these kind of organizations?
Yes, you see, the problem that we have also is that as Ghanaians, we fail mostly to enforce our individual and personal rights. Now, if I have a right against the employer, and I do not report, I do not take it up, I do not approach the appropriate institution that will enforce my right, clearly you'll be suffering silently and nobody will know. And so we must develop this culture of enforcing our rights, however little they may appear. That way, we will be enjoying the provisions of the acts, the Labour Act, the Workmen's Compensation Act, the Factories Inspectories Act, which have provided all the nice rights that the workers have under the law, and for which we are not enjoying because we have not asserted
But
them.
oftentimes, the workers are even uninformed or do not know about their rights. The thing is for the authorities to enforce the law, as you indicated earlier, which is not being done.
Yes, but the authorities will not enforce the law in a vacuum. You will not expect the authorities to be aware of every violation of the law. And that is why the worker must now come out. And talking about education, I think that as a country, many do not even know about the existence of these laws. And that is where trade unionism is key. They must take up this issue and make sure that members or Ghanaian workers know about the existence of laws, especially the new Labour Act, which was promulgated not too many years ago. I can tell you that not many know of this act. And it's in this act that the rights of workers are provided, the duties of workers are provided, the rights of employers are provided, and the duties of workers are provided. And in fact, the ways by which these rights and duties can be enforced and enjoyed are also provided in. And so in the absence of education and knowledge for that matter, you cannot enjoy them.
And speaking of rights of workers, let me pick your thoughts on the workers of the laid-off workers of the 7 collapsed banks, or the defunct banks. Now, some of them today we heard reportedly locked out the management of Consolidated Bank, demanding their salaries. They haven't been paid, some for 4 months, some for more than those months. So what would you recommend be done in those situations?
I think that no Ghanaian has the right to take the law into own hands. Our laws provide procedures for enforcing workers' rights. If your salaries are not being paid, if, for example, you are entitled to redundancy pay, which under the circumstances of the collapse of the banks, ordinarily workers will be entitled to, there is a procedure. You are supposed to approach the National Labour Commission for an order to the effect that such much as regards compensation or redundancy for that matter be paid to you, or an order that salaries be paid to you. If the employer refuses to do so, you approach the court for an enforcement of the orders of the National Labour Commission. So the procedures are there. It is not up to the workers to take the law into their own hands and to lock up management. That in itself is a criminal offense.
I see. I guess the workers don't have the time to, they're too frustrated to go through the whole process. But thank you very much, Mr. Baudia. But let's go on our social media site, and we have some comments on this. George Inet Finn Wagner says, this will go nowhere. In the end, the police will pick side money, that is money over justice, instead of applying the laws. Also, Nana Determination writes, I feel happy. That's what will happen if our political leaders take us for a ride. Okay, that is not part of it. And Francis Ampon says, since we have chosen to always go begging other countries for help, what do we expect? God will surely punish our leaders. You're still watching Joy News Prime. I'm Araba Kumsin. Still to come, President Akufo-Addo speaks publicly for the first time on the collapse of the 7 banks, emphasizing poorly managed local banks cannot expect government support. An auditing firm, PricewaterhouseCoopers, allots severance packages to the Bank of Ghana for laid-off staff following the collapse of the 7 banks since 2017.
to engage with the Bank of Ghana so that some of these could be fast-tracked. It's been a year since these workers were laid off, and I think it's about time that those severance packages are given them.
We'll bring you those details right after business, which is coming right up.
Hello again, good evening to you. Welcome to business. Now, transit trade at the ports has soared following the implementation of the paperless clearing system. The introduction of the paperless system replaced the manual documentation system, which was said to be delaying the process of clearing goods at the ports. 1 year since its introduction, stakeholders say although there is room for improvement, some positive strides have been made.
Government began the implementation of the paperless clearing system on September 1, 2017, in order to speed up the process of clearing goods and to ensure order at the port. The system also aimed to improve revenue collection. A year on, and the Ghana Shippers Authority say the system, despite the hitches at the initial stage, has positively impacted transit trade. Bafo Fariata is a senior revenue officer of the Freight and Logistics Department at the Ghana Shippers Authority.
So the transit trade has improved as well. As we speak, we are looking at the transit trade hitting over 1 million. In 2017, we inched close to 1 million, but we're actually looking at it going up further. So it definitely has impacted on the transit trade as well. The seemingly delays that were in the past have been reduced. So most definitely it has had an effect, a knock-on effect on the transit trade as well.
But moving forward, the president of the Institute of Freight Forwarders, Kwabna Fosuapia, insists a governance structure must be put in place to streamline activities of various stakeholders involved with the paperless system.
Anywhere that this has been done, anywhere that these deliverables of the trade facilitation has been implemented or is being implemented, there is always a structure, a governance structure, so that every other person, be it a person, a department, ministry, agency, whose mandate crisscrosses the supply chain of international trade, they have to operate within a certain structure, and the structure must assume the character of a pyramid, okay? So that at the highest level, you either have the president or somebody very close to that. And in our case, you can see that it will have to be the vice president because he has taken a certain interest in the port.
According to Vice President Dr. Baumia, an initial assessment of the implementation has shown a revenue collection improvement of 56%. However, stakeholders say the system is still far from perfect. Hence, the Ghana Revenue Authority must work hard to ensure processes at the port is totally paperless.
The Bank of Ghana is working on a guideline to compel all financial institutions to establish cybercrime units. This follows a surge in financial fraud from 41% in 2016 to about 42% in 2017. According to the Bank of Ghana, the move, which will form part of the banking requirements, is to help curb the increasing rate of financial crimes in the sector. Ebenezer Sabute has more in the following report.
2017, 1,418 fraud cases were reported to the Bank of Ghana, representing 42% compared to 1,001 cases, which presented 41.66% in 2016. Attempted fraud same year was 190.38 million, out of which 160.30 were recovered. According to the Bank of Ghana, delays in detection of economic crime could have a significant impact on the performance of the industry. At a financial crime sensitization workshop in Ada, advisor at the Bank of Ghana, Grace Sotier, said as part of measures to curb the menace, the central bank will soon ensure that all financial institutions have a financial crime unit.
Also, the Bank of Ghana, in response to these lapses, has recently instituted a cyber security committee which has been mandated to launch and implement the Bank of Ghana's Cyber and Information Security Guideline. There has been extensive engagement with stakeholders on this agenda. It is expected that with the launch of Bank of Ghana's Cyber and Information Security Guideline, all banks will appoint a Cyber and Information Security Officer who will have direct access to senior management, set up a security subcommittee at the board level, and seek the regulator's approval before signing up with any cloud service provider. Regardless of the measures taken at both the national level and by the Bank of Ghana, the ideal approach to dealing with cybersecurity attacks is mostly dependent on the level of awareness and also on the amount of information shared among parties.
The workshop brought together all stakeholders in the cybersecurity and ICT sector to deliberate on strategies to control economic crime in the country. Head of Financial Stability Department at the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Joseph Franz, spoke on measures to curb the situation.
Next, we're going to deliberate as to the roadmap and follow up strictly the roadmap as to what to do, why the COCLAB in the first place fizzled out, and what are we going to do to sustain the COCLAB, so that all these integrities, because we are out there to expose the bad guys, and so what we will do, some of these we can put out there, so that there will be a focus group to deliberate on all this, then we'll know what to do to get out the bad guys from society. Well, that's quite huge. Before you employ someone, one will expect that you would have done due diligence on the person. One of the things that we have put in place, like we said, was that we've created a database so that you check with us as to the background of that person, what the person has done before. If the person is being recycled in the banking industry, what happened before the person moved from one industry to the other, then you can take it from there. There are other tools that we have to use aside of checking the background to know whether you are employing a suitable person or not.
Okay. Now, gradually inching to the final pitch in November, where the various groups will present their innovative commercial solutions for the agri sector, finalists of the Cosmos Innovation Center Agri-Tech Challenge are lacing their boots to make their chances of winning a reality. The latest in the preparation process is a leadership and team management workshop. Joy News' Karen Dodu has been with them and has come through with this report.
So maybe the ones that I selected for myself were mainly blue, and the ones that I got were also mainly blue.
The road to the final pitch in November has been characterized by some ups and downs, but mostly a learning experience for the agri-techies. One of such experiences is this ongoing workshop, which can best be described as an eye-opener.
Who you present to the world, who you believe yourself to be. So this is me. If I ask you to describe yourself, the kind of things you tell me, that's your conscious persona. Okay? If you ask me to describe myself, I'll tell you I'm a very creative individual.
The workshop gave finalists the chance to study topics on self-discovery, temperaments, and knowledge on how best to relate with team members. Team by team, the finalists were involved in several exercises which explained the topics better.
Your palm should not be upwards. It should be flat. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, catch!
Chief Executive of Access Human Capital and facilitator of the workshop, Esi Ansa, explained that as team members, knowledge about various personalities in the group is key for development.
Whenever you have different people coming together to work on a project together, you have different personalities, you have different temperament types, different ideas, different demographics coming together. So if you're not intentional about building team spirit and helping them to bond, helping them to figure out how to meet each other halfway, they'll struggle. And so this training is really an intervention to help them to build the capacity to learn how to work with each other. So in my left, I may have what describes me. I'm going to put that on my profile. In my right, I have what describes other people. I'm going to walk around and give it to them.
The final participants were amazed by the impact of the workshop.
It's been a soul-searching experience, helping me to study on what I should study on. Two, it has also helped me to experience or appreciate the people I work with, because there were bits and pieces of information per their reaction which were not really packaged. But with this experience, I now know exactly, or in some form, the nature and what they like and what they don't like and how they react to issues.
For you to be able to relate with people, well, you need to understand them, understand their values. And therefore, today, there were things I noticed about my teammates, which I thought it's normal, or some are not really normal. But today has really affirmed some of them, and there were things that I don't really know about them.
And that's all in business tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apuachi. Have a good evening.
You're welcome back. Now, President Akufo-Addo has risen to the defense of the Bank of Ghana over its decision to dissolve 7 banks last month. The central bank has come under criticism by sections of the public for the move, which they say has contributed to the current poor state of the economy. But speaking for the first time on the banking crisis in the Rwandan capital, Kigali, President Akufo-Addo assured that the central bank's action is only to streamline activities in the banking sector and not to collapse it.
The Bank of Ghana will be taking taxpayers' money to support inefficient, poorly managed banks. So the Bank of Ghana stepped in, and the regulatory measures that it has taken are those that have resulted in the takeover, the solution of these 7 banks. And in the process, with the support of the Minister of the Bank of Ghana, the Minister of Finance has decided to take over the assets of 5 of these 7 banks as a prelude to establishing a new state-owned bank, the Consolidated Bank of Ghana, which is going to be a much stronger indigenous bank alongside GCB, and therefore provide the leadership in the indigenous banking sector that is required. We cannot have, and that is the clear intention of government, to have a situation where the dominant banks in our country are all foreign banks. It's very dangerous for our future.
We say on banking because some staff of Top Core Security Services, they're demanding their August salaries and severance packages. Top Core Security Services, a subsidiary of the now defunct Unibank, had its contract with Unibank terminated by the Consolidated Bank last month. This was after CBG took over Unibank. CBG has also allegedly frozen the account of Top Core. The workers tell Joy News management says it is unable to pay their salaries as a result. On Thursday, however, the security guards held a protest to pile pressure on CBG to unfreeze the accounts of Top Core management holdings.
Why we are here is that they freeze the company accounts. Our workers cannot be paid. And today is 7:15, cannot be paid. Government he said that he wants to create jobs rather than he's pulling us down. What sort of government is this? You take our bank, take our contract, take everything. And where should we go? Where should we go? Let's speak the truth. Let's call a spade a spade. Let's do them and give what belongs to Caesar to Caesar. We don't need all these things. We don't need all these things. That's the reason why we are here. We are here to take our money. We are here to be paid. We are human beings. We feed on food. We don't feed on grass. For God's sake, we are here to take our money. Or if not, then we will cause disaster. Actions speak louder than words. We don't need any problem. They should give it to us and we will go in peace and we will live there in peace.
The only thing is, one, the government came and they collected the bank. And he collected a security contract. Yeah. Now, he's keeping our money to pay us today. How many months? That's last month.
4 months.
You understand? 4 months they've not paid.
They have not paid.
They have not paid. So he should bring the money, he should give us, he should release our money to our accounts and then we'll take it. Some of us were paying school fees. Now they are about to open school. So how can we pay? So you should shine his eyes.
Okay. The management of the company has
change, they give your company to a different manager, which is called Consolidated Bank. So we are demanding our pay. Yes. I've worked for.
Well, Parliament's Finance Committee is urging the Bank of Ghana to fast-track the payment of severance packages of workers of the defunct UT and Capital Bank. At the hearing into the collapse of 7 banks Thursday, the receiver, PricewaterhouseCoopers, explained how they computed the packages for various staff. Briefing the media after the sitting, chairman of the committee, Dr. Mark Isibeye-Boa, expressed concern the payments have been outstanding for too long.
Act 930 spells out clearly what a receiver should do. The receiver, as a matter of fact, is accountable to the Bank of Ghana in its functions. So they don't report to us. But because matters like employees' severance, those who worked with these banks, is involved here, we wanted to know when former workers of, say, UT Capital Bank would get their severance packages. As a matter of fact, they gave us the details, how they have arrived at the packages that they are going to pay them. And if you go into the law, it will take some more time before these severance packages would be paid. But we have the opportunity to engage with the Bank of Ghana so that some of these could be fast-tracked. It's been a year since these workers were laid off, and I think it's about time that those severance packages are given them.
You're welcome back. Now, the 2018 United Nations SDGs Indicator Baseline Report has revealed that 13.6% of Ghanaians are living in extreme poverty. Simply put, Ghana is far from achieving the 17 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Acting Director General of the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Grace Bediako, says the situation is worrying. She was addressing participants at a workshop to discuss the findings of the 2018 UN SDGs Indicator Baseline Report. Charity Bartel's report read to you.
The 2018 Baseline SDGs report revealed that despite all attempts by governments to push the progress of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, Ghana is likely to miss targets for some of the goals, especially goals 1, 4, 5 and 8, as progress in these areas is on the decline. The situation, according to Deputy Director of the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Felix Ado-Yobo, could have dire implications for the country.
For many of the targets, we are very far from where we are expected to be, and that certainly means that we should work really very fast. If we don't achieve them, they have implications for other sectors of the economy, and SDG 6 relates to human dignity, even as well, access to sanitation. It's not just a basic service, but it relates to human dignity. You need to have a decent place to ease yourself if need be. It has health implications.
The report also revealed that government will have to take pragmatic steps in addressing youth unemployment, as over 14% of the youth in Ghana are unemployed, far from the 0% target of SDG Goal 8, which seeks to promote sustainable and inclusive economic growth. Researcher and advisory board chair of the Alliance for Reproductive Health Rights, Dr. Esther Ofe Abwaje, discussed the report.
We need to look at intergenerational poverty, so that poor people giving birth to poor children who grow up into poor adults and in turn have poor children. We need to break intergenerational poverty. We need to look at child poverty, where children are suffering from deprivation, so that they are not capacitated to, spring up for themselves. There's work to be done, in relation to employment and decent work, especially youth employment, the quality of employment, not just any old jobs, but jobs that will sustain them, build capacity, create innovation, create a groundswell. And we need to be able to think outside the box to help our people get employment so that their livelihoods will spring up.
Majority Leader in Parliament, Oseiche Mensah-Bonsu, believes the country could meet the SDG targets if relevant policies and laws are formulated and implemented to end corruption.
Sustainable development can only be achieved if we cut out waste and frontally confront and combat corruption. This cannot be done with the current state of affairs, where the high attrition in Parliament is poking off in harsh tones. Political parties must confront the increasing trend of monetization in their internal organizations. Otherwise, we lose the battle against corruption. Parliament has a critical role to play through its traditional roles of power of the purse.
Findings of the SDG baseline reports revealed the disparities in the access to quality basic services based on sex, age and location. Charity Imihiel Bartels reports for Joy News.
Now, the United States Millennium Challenge Corporation Thursday made available $190 million to Ghana following successful meeting of key requirements, but the country must meet additional 45 conditions, including partial privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana before the full tranche of almost $500 million will be released. The Compact 2 aims to improve electricity supply in the country. At the Jubilee House Thursday, the MCC submitted a letter acknowledging Ghana's achievement of this milestone to the presidency. Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who received the letter, said government is working hard to ensure full compliance with all set conditions to enable the country fully utilize the money involved.
This is indeed a day that is fantastic. It's a great day. It's a day that when we came into office, we didn't think would come because it was a very challenging feat to get to this day. In fact, the whole compact, if we are honest with ourselves, was in danger when we came into office, and we realized that this was something we could not allow to fail. It was too big for us to allow to fail, because we're talking about a major transformation of the energy sector of this country, which for us has always been the Achilles heel as far as economic management is concerned. So the idea that the compact was going to be addressing these issues was so important for government. And so we had to find a way to make it work. Every day as we try to figure this out and to work, ultimately we had to bring Son Benjamin Martin on board to work with Professor Chairman to put this together, and they've done a fantastic job, and we're able to get to where we are today. I mean, it is a great day, and I'd like to congratulate everybody. And I think this, again, deepens the relationship that Ghana has with the United States. It's another, manifestation of the strong cooperation that Ghana has with the United States.
Now, China's leading cloud computing company, Inspur Group, has chosen Ghana as its preferred destination in West Africa for the establishment of its regional headquarters. According to Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Inspur Group, Peter Soon, the decision by the company to establish its headquarters in Ghana was born out of the country's peaceful and stable nature, coupled with an impressive economic outlook. The Inspur CEO made this known when his company paid a courtesy call on President Akufo-Addo on the sidelines of the Ghana Shandong Business Conference in China. Inspur, currently with a 57% share of global sales in the artificial intelligence server field, is the fastest growing server vendor.
The headquarters of Inspur West Africa in Ghana, and we plan to build up a manufacturing factory of physical devices in Ghana, so that the physical register devices can supply the Ghana market and also the market of West Africa, and bring the manufacturing experience of China to Ghana and to West Africa, and increase the local employment. And we will set up a Africa Future program, a training program in Ghana. And first, we will invite 10 Ghanaian students for intern to visit Inspur to train for 3 months. And our engineers and other working staff can use their experience to tell them how to do the innovation and for other work.
Now, the newly established Consolidated Bank has disclosed it will close down 93 of the 109 branches it inherited from the 5 collapsed banks last month. Officials indicated this at the Finance Committee Thursday. The CBG is, however, unable to tell how many workers they will sack eventually. Joseph Opoku-Gapo has more.
3 different institutions appeared before the committee today. Officials from PricewaterhouseCoopers as well as KPMG, who were receivers in the takeover of the 7 banks, as well as the newly established bank, Consolidated Bank. Well, even before the proceedings kicked in, Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu was around for the sitting. He had an interaction with the media and he raised concerns about the loss of jobs and demanded firmer government action to deal with it.
I'm particularly concerned about loss of jobs and whether or not there will be capacity to pay severance award. What happens to the wives and children of the affected persons as school reopens? What is it that the government of Ghana can do to find new life to those institutions as possible? Don't forget that the US did it when they had a financial crisis. The state came in. Let's see what role the state of Ghana can play. I generally do not think that we've handled this matter properly. Thank you.
Well, the issue of job losses dominated the conversation. One disclosure that came up is that with the Consolidated Bank, for example, they have indicated they currently have 193 branches that they took over from the 5 collapsed banks. They would go ahead and close down 98 of them and run the rest, but they were unable to give firm disclosures on how many staff will be dismissed eventually.
We asked the question of the number of jobs that they expect to cut, and they said they are still in the process of rationalizing the platform they want to use, and that will determine where they will go. What we had from them was the number of branches that they would maintain. As of now, they have 191, and they've come to the determination that they will keep 93.
Well, you recall that MP for Bogatanga Central, Isaac Adongo, boycotted yesterday's sitting and described what is being done here as a cover-up and something that will lead nowhere. Chairman of the committee, Makasbe Abua, says they've allowed that matter to rest and they won't go back to it again.
The minority leader, the majority leadership, and I think we should let sleeping dogs lie. To the extent that the committee has converged again today to continue with our work, I think there are no issues outstanding.
The minority MP leading their side on this committee, Fifi Kwete, says a lot of progress has been made in terms of getting a fairer understanding of what exactly led to the collapse of the banks following the 2-day sitting. The probe lasted virtually the whole day from around 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. It will all come to an end on Friday, and then a decision on what next will be taken. From Parliament House in Accra, my name is Joseph Opoku-Gapo.
Now, NDC flag bearer aspirant Professor Joshua Alabi has charged the party's National Executive Committee and Council of Elders to set up an election committee to manage the conduct of presidential primaries following concerns of bias. Following the party's regional congress held simultaneously across the country last weekend, supporters of some aspirants complained there was no level playing ground as some aspirants violated the party's campaigning regulations. Professor Alabi's campaign team has been addressing a news conference on the matter. Kwesi Parker-Wilson has the rest of the story.
Prof. Joshua Alabi's concerns come on the back of a series of concerns raised by some members of the party, alleging that certain candidates were given preferential treatment at the just-ended regional delegates conference. Ni Amasa Namwale raised some concerns in an interview after the Greater Accra Regional Delegate Conference.
About this 9th Greater Accra Regional Delegate Conference, I think you have been here enough. And you heard the song that we were playing. in favor of one flag bearer. Is it fair? Is it fair? Somebody will say the person is powerful. He's popular. Everybody is going to vote for him. He is the only candidate that is going to get it easier. Is that what they were saying? Why are you springboard cheating?
Lawyer Victor Kojogan Adaudu is campaign coordinator of the Joshua Alabi campaign. He affirms that the action and inactions of the leaders should foster unity and social cohesion.
We will also urge the National Executive Committee and the Council of Elders of our party to put in place an election committee that will manage the process and supervise the election of flag bearer without fear and favor. We intend to propose for the consideration of the party the actions and inactions of the elected leaders would either foster unity and social cohesion or otherwise.
Victor Daudi called on leadership of the party to refrain from allowing campaign messages and songs of aspirants played at party event. He clarified his appeal is not targeted at the candidature of former President Mahama. So you want the people to stop playing Mahama's song, Claire?
Where have they played Mahama's song? Have I said that? I didn't say that. Where have they played Mahama's song?
Prior to the 2016 election, Mahama
no.
Series of
that's 2016. No. You are saying 2016. That is as a party we move together.
Right.
That is the party message. That is the party song for our candidate. Right? I'm asking you, if we go for a program and all the supporters over there are not for one candidate, and one candidate's song is played, the other people come, supporters come and say, we want our candidate's song to also be played. There are 11 aspirants now. So they have to play all the 11 aspirants, their jingles and songs. What would happen to their party? It will be cacophony of noises.
The NDC is expected to elect its national executives on November 3, which will pave way for the election of the flag bearer within the first week of December. For Joy News, I am Kwesi Parker Wilson.
And let's stay a while longer on Joshua Alabi because my colleague Malik Dabo brings you analysis of the chances of Professor Joshua Alabi as he seeks the flag bearership nod of the NDC.
This is a man who started off life as a politician, then vamoosed into the pristine precinct of academia, and is now seeking a return to mainstream politics, this time as president. Ghana native from Nungwa and Russian-trained economist and chartered marketer, Professor Alabi has a rather long and rich political CV, even if it appears rusty and may have lost some of its luster. He was National Union of Ghana Students President while in Russia in the mid to late 80s. He returned to Ghana and plunged into the 1996 elections, becoming the Member of Parliament for the Swing constituency of Krowo in the Greater Accra region after obtaining 40% of the vote cast. He lost his re-election bid in 2000 and plunged fully into teaching at his alma mater, the then Institute of Professional Studies, which became a university under his leadership as rector. Professor Alabi's trump card in this election is what he did with IPS, the transformation he is credited with at the university. He is renowned for his innovative leadership that transformed the school into a respected institution of learning with great infrastructure to boast. Politically, he does not have any major scandals hanging around his neck, except, of course, concerns about an overpriced OBS system procured by the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, while he was board chairman. His ethnicity, depending on how one looks at it, may prove positive for his campaign. Traditionally, the Gans have voted NDC. Many settlements are predominantly pro-NDC. The problem, however, is that the Gans constitute a small proportion of Ghana's population. Professor Alabi seems to also enjoy quite some support from influential people from the Volta region, including MPs and lawyers. This can prove decisive because this is the so-called World Bank of the opposition party. In the 1996 election, Mr. Rawlings garnered as much as 95% of the votes in that region. If the region backs him fully, it may prove very important. The things that may work against him are varied and many.
Now, security expert Dr. Vladimir Nchudanso is calling for the disbandment of all political vigilante groups in Ghana. The situation, he said, if not controlled, will lead to serious governance problems in the country. His comments come at the back of NDC General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketiah's endorsement of pro-opposition vigilante groups.
Very unfortunate that we have reached a point where everybody seems to be wanting to be undisciplined. And from my expertise point of view, I want to warn that this is not the way to go. Vigilantism in several countries have resulted in governance problems, ungovernability, instability, leading to a kind of chaos within the country. Burundi is one. Rwanda, before the genocide, it was vigilantism that created the condition for that slaughter. Right now in Central African Republic, it's a no-go area, even though we have UN troops and several other interventionist groups there. The killings and the ungovernability of the area is overwhelming. In DR Congo, the reason why the country is not stable is because of vigilantism. You know, the former vice president was incarcerated by the ICC and later on left free. But it was because he had a vigilante group that took upon themselves the right to try and tell the government what the security should be. It's wrong. Close to the elections, was hosting a program on GBC, if you people watched it. And it was purely on this. I was warning that towards elections and beyond elections, stability has never been given in any country by vigilantes. And I kept on hammering the Bolga Bulldogs, the Azoka Boys and whatnot. We need to disband them. After all, we have state institutions built for security. And for our constitution and institutions to work, it is only the rule of law in terms of institutional governance that can save Ghana from the scourge of instability. And I believe that politicians, if they want to really tell us that they have the nation at heart, must stop the creation of vigilantes, whether it is NPP or NDC or CPP.
Now, almost all of us use a phone these days, but does it run iOS or Android? For those of you who are confused, there are various operating systems that power smartphones these days. The most popular of them are iOS from Apple and Android from Google. I know some of you don't care to know all the features of your iOS or Android phones, but for many, it's a big deal. The focus of this week's edition of Geek Squad, Joy FM's radio technical show, was to establish which has the better features, iOS or Android phones. Bernice Abubedu listened to the Tuesday evening program and reports for Tech Thursday.
Apart from football, one issue that can cause a serious debate among people, especially men, is which phones are the best, Android or iOS? My colleague and go-to person for all my tech help, Kobe Nkrumah, tried to settle the debate on his show, Geek Squad.
Which of these phones perform better with cloud backups? You know, all the services that your phone comes with iCloud, a minimum of 5 gig. Your phone comes with Google Drive, minimum of 15 gig.
iOS syncs seamlessly almost everything you do. How many Android users actually do know how much Google Drive space they do have, and do they even use it?
Yes.
How many people know?
Everybody who has a Gmail knows.
Yes. Well, the only thing I have seen Android users use their Google Drive for, sometimes photos, and then other times contacts.
And on that note, photos backup on Google Drive is actually unlimited.
Yes.
Yes. So you can back up that unlimited versus Android, which you're still limited to your 5 gig. iOS.
When I purchased the iPhone X recently and I needed to upgrade from the 7, basically I just set up using my iCloud account and everything. I was just amazed. Apps, WhatsApp, data, conversations, everything just backed up automatically. I just continued. As if I was on the same phone.
That is actually a forte of the iPhone, because there's that continuity. You don't miss a single thing, except obviously when you run out of space on your iCloud.
Now, here's the interesting thing. Google is pushing AI. You need data for AI.
Yes.
Pretty much all of Google services now are cloud-based services, no matter what. Even when you're editing your pictures in Google Photos now, it's an AI-based, it's a cloud-based system. And recently, iOS 12, they were talking about the fact that their thing is now more end-to-end encryption. So I sent to you, it doesn't go up into the cloud. So if Apple themselves are saying that they are reducing your interaction with the cloud, and Google is actually increasing your interaction with the cloud, who here
does better cloud service?
So a quick rebuttal. You know, everything you have on Android, you can get on iOS.
I
feel like
especially when it
reverse.
comes to cloud. Okay, you can get Google, everything. I can sync my iOS to my Android.
Well, the debate got so complex after an hour, there was no real conclusion to which is better. Maybe it's just a reflection of what happens in your circles. That's if you're one who engages in these debates. The debate on which has better features, Android or iOS, never really ends. For Android users, nothing beats their less complicated system. And for iOS users, it's just the best deal on the market. Let me just leave you with this. I have used an Android, yes. And now I'm an iOS lady, and nothing beats that. Well, let the debate continue.
Well, now it appears government has a lot more explaining to do on the double track system for parents of prospective senior high school students, many of whom are expected to leave for school this weekend. The senior high school academic calendar begins on September 11, but according to the Ministry of Education, as many as 67,000 BEC graduates are yet to be posted to schools. As a means of addressing the parents' concerns, the Ghana Education Service and the computerized school selection placement system have set up what they call solution centers across the country. Hannah Odame visited the solution center in Accra, located at the Independence Square, and now reports.
The complaints, the frustrations, the assurances, as well as some attempted solutions by officers of the Ghana Education Service here at the Independence Square, which has been termed as a solution center by the computerized placement system. Let's hear some of the complaints from the parents.
For my younger brother, he had the school, the 5 placements, but one he did not select is what they have given him, that's Orally. And even the fact now is that the general, the course he had wanted to offer, electrical engineering, and Orally they don't even offer that course. And what I'm asking them is that if even there can be a change, what they are saying is that it's either he takes to Orally or he goes to Accra Technical, but the distance alone is another problem.
I checked the placements, I'm getting wrong in this number. And if I come, the second here, go there, go here. And you are not getting any response. So finally, I went to another place and they asked me to come here. And I came here, they said I should fill a complaint form. So I filled the form and they told me when they go, they'll tell their technical people. So I'm still waiting for them for the placement. Now, my child took choose Presec Legon.
So how is your child feeling as at now, knowing that?
He's feeling bad because he got a grade 8 and up to now his placement didn't come. He's not happy.
PRO of the Ghana Education Service, Cassandra Chum, attempted some explanations to this particular parent who would simply not agree.
No, grade 10. On your grade 15, and what you see at this Saturday. Yeah. That set some trap with the tours in Nippon Fadin, into so pure, and so Fadin, into one set a trap into the house of it. Trap is yes, will be on to school 5.
Solutions are being preferred, and it is their hope that parents will have all the answers before school reopens on the 11th of September.
And I'm Arba Kumson. From me and the rest of the team, thanks for watching and have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.